Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Brittany Weinhold, and I serve as the contact person for McKinney-Vento Foster Care, Title I, SPP, School Improvement, Title II, and Title IV. And I am on the school support team. Today, we will walk through the key components of creating high-quality school performance plans for the 25-26 school year using NDE's Plan for Learning platform. Our session will include guidance on organizing your work, conducting needs assessments, and developing goals, and implementing evidence-based strategies. Here's today's agenda. We'll begin with an overview of Plan for Learning, followed by a high-level overview of the 25-26 SPP, Plan for Learning tabs, and then we'll conclude with a Q&A session. Today, we will focus on achieving three key outcomes: navigating Plan for Learning, which is NDE's required platform, aligning goals and strategies, and utilizing NDE resources to develop effective school performance plans. Schools are required to align their SPP submissions with grant applications in the spring and complete two status checks. These processes ensure progress monitoring and alignment with school improvement goals. So before we get started, I just want to get a pulse check on how familiar you are with Plan for Learning. In the chat, if you could um, rate yourself from using the scale from 1 to 5, 1 being I know nothing about Plan for Learning, 5 being I got this, I can go ahead and jump into Plan for Learning and get started on my SPP now. Give you guys, okay. Oh, that was quick. Okay, give you about 10 more seconds. Okay, and then I'm seeing a lot of ones. Um, so my follow-up question, and you can put this in the chat, or just come on and share, whichever you prefer. Um, what was the process for submitting your SPPs in the past? Um, did you guys do written SPPs? Um, did you use a different platform? If you don't mind sharing how you submitted your SPPs in the previous years. And I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to enter that in the chat. Okay, makes sense. Thank you guys for sharing. So this will be new to all of you, um, but it's okay. I'm here and we're going to get through it. So this platform is required by NDE, and it's the platform that we use. This will be the only way that you will submit your SPP. And so today, this is probably going to be a little overwhelming because it's a lot of information. I just want you to know that we're here to guide you all through this process. And so as you log into your Plan for Learning accounts and you're going through the steps to complete your SPP. If you have any questions after this training, please contact me. Um, School leaders were sent an email this morning regarding your Plan for Learning account login information. You can pull that up now if you like, or later. Um, and there are steps to um, entering into your account and logging in. There's also resources. I included those resources in the chat as well. Your guidance, your this training, um, PowerPoint, and the SPP timeline. Okay, so we're going to move into a very high level overview of the 25-26 SPP and Plan for Learning. More in-depth instructions will be in the 25-26 SPP guidance, which again was emailed to you all, well, at least the school leaders. It was also included in the SPCSA's weekly newsletter, and I've included it in the chat. Okay, we're going to start with the Fund Source Budgets tab. You will enter the projected amounts for each fund source. For example, general funds, IDEA, Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, McKinney-Vento, transportation grants, etc. Please enter 0 for funding sources not applicable to your school. These can be you're receiving for all grants, but you can go back in and adjust it later. Each improvement strategy must be linked to a fund source budget if it has an associated cost. Okay, so for this tab, you must enter your budget amounts for your funding sources before entering your goals. Your plan will be rejected if you do not enter your budget amounts on the fund source budgets page. To access the fund source budgets page, you will click on goals from the side menu, choose fund source budgets, enter the overall dollar amount for any area you receive funds, and then click save. This information is going to be in the guidance, so there's no need to write it all down. You can go back to this recording. You can look at the guidance, and all of this will be there. You will not need to itemize amounts later for each strategy. However, you will need to select funding sources in your action steps, and you will not be able to do that unless you enter your overall budget amount. And then please remember to click save. I'm going to pass it over to Christina from our F&O team to discuss some funding expectations and considerations.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Good to see all of you, or at least see your names, and I'm sure we'll get familiar with you over the next upcoming few months. My name is Christina Cote. Unlike Brittany, who works under the school support team, I work in a different team, but we work very closely together. I work under the grants unit with several other colleagues, and as you're working with the school performance plan, our grant unit wanted to provide some quick tips and considerations for you to think about, because I know this is a new process coming over to the SPCSA. So Brittany just quickly provided a demonstration of one of the various tabs that will require information as you work through this school performance plan process, that fund source budget tab. You'll be receiving funds for FY26 later on this month, and we have a unlike probably what you're familiar with Clark County School District, you will actually be responsible as your own district to upload funding information, not only in the school performance plan, but also in our grants management system, which we also call GMS. Some further training will be provided to you about the GMS, including links to make sure you have access later this month. But I wanted to kind of provide some just kind of spots for you as you're working with this first initial milestone, the plan, because remember the plan drives your funds, right? The funding is graded and such based on your goals. So on behalf of the grant unit, again, I'm just going to take a few slides to share several funding considerations to help prepare you for a successful upcoming application season, which begins with this key milestone. So schools will often braid local, state, and approved federal funds that they receive. You may be familiar with that already. So as you begin to complete the Fund Source Budgets tab, I want to start with this first funding consideration, which is about how to support your strategies or interventions. So remember, while federal funds can be used to support a strategy or intervention, their uses and purposes are tracked individually and their respective compliance requirements must still be met. So for example, you might be a school that had received Title I Part A, and you might receive it again with this SPCSA if the data proves to support that. So Title I Part A, the purpose for that federal grant is for low achieving children in high poverty schools to close education achievement gaps and to provide an equitable high quality education. Separate purpose, then Title II Part A. Title II Part A, the purpose is the only grant targeted to prepare, train, and recruit high-quality school leaders and educators with the end goal, again, providing those low-income and minority children greater access to effective educators and increasing student achievement consistent with the Nevada State academic standards. So each federal grant has its own goals, beneficiary, and allowabilities. It's important that as you're working through your plan, that schools strategically align their school needs with the funding that best fits their goal and their needs. Federal funds are most commonly used to fill gaps or provide additive services, as you see underlined in this slide, in program delivery, such as paying for stipends or perhaps funding additional training when demand exceeds the budget, your regular budget. Local and state funds for intended beneficiaries may not be decreased or diverted merely because the availability of federal funds. Next slide, please, Brittany. Thank you. All right, let's look at federal funding consideration number 2. So as you work through the school performance plan and determine how to resource the plan, charter schools should consider and determine how the evidence-based program activity, intervention, or strategy would be funded if the federal grant funds were not available. Is the funding sustainable, for example? So remember that federal education funds cannot replace services that schools or the intended beneficiary would otherwise receive in the absence of obtaining a federal grant award. You may be familiar with this with Clark County School District. Hopefully, this is commonly known as a supplement, not supplant rule, or SNS rule. Supplanting is presumed if any of the following is true. The first one, A, grant funds are used to provide services that are required under other federal, state, or local laws. So for example, charter schools can't use Title III English language learner funding, EL learning, for uses such as WIDA screeners or devices to identify or assess EL students because it would be supplanting, because that is an illegal obligation. Okay, so you can't use federal funding to replace illegal obligations that are imposed at the state or by the federal government. B, the school provided the same services with non-federal funds in the prior year. Again, that would be considered supplanting. Or C, the school would not otherwise provide the services without federal funds. So please be cognizant and careful using federal title and IDEA special education related funds. Many schools received ESSER COVID relief funds over the past several years. And while that did not have a supplement, not supplant rule, so it was a little bit more flexible, federal ESEA title funds like Title I Part A, Title II Part A, Title III EL, or Title IV Part A, etc., especially, and also IDEA federal funds are susceptible to the supplement, not supplant requirement, and this should be carefully considered during the school planning and budgeting process. Next slide, please. All right, funding consideration number 3. So the last funding consideration our team would like to highlight during this presentation is to make sure that relevant fiscal staff are involved in the SPP development process. This might be new for your school. Our team has noticed on occasion that staff responsible for program development with our existing operating charter schools had not always closely collaborated during the SPP development process with staff that are actually responsible for grant application and budget development in our grants management system, the GMS. Often fiscal staff, or maybe you might have contracted staff employed, will have the expertise and knowledge around those federal grant allowabilities and fiscal requirements that must be adhered to, such as that supplement, not supplant that I just previously discussed. There's also maintenance of effort and other fiscal requirements, or comparability requirements that are related to like Title I-A and IDEA. So these fiscal stakeholders that you partner with or who are responsible at your school can assist in the discussion of how to best braid and coordinate those local, state, and federal funds to meet the school goals. So in summary, grant fund sourcing entered in the school performance plan should be aligned to the budget details entered in the SBCSA's grant management system, which will come down a little bit later. So you're going to start with the SPP, whatever funding sources that you put in there should align eventually with your grants management system. Remember, the SPP is an organic document. It should be constantly, it could be modified throughout the year. Next slide, please. The SBCSA strongly encourages that school administrators and fiscal staff involved in the SPP development process review our grants administrative Canvas portal. And I'm going to put the link in the chat right now. I suggest that you please bookmark. We will be talking more about some of the modules and later trainings that you'll be involved, but this could be something that you might want to bookmark for future use. This is especially important if you have any new fiscal staff that might be related to who will be responsible for working in our grants management system, and for new administrators that are new to SBCSA. After logging into the portal, users can scroll down to the federal grants module. We have many modules in this portal to review content related to the applicable grants that the school will expect to receive. If you have any questions along the way, please reach out to our key staff members of our grants unit. Remember, we will be providing some additional training on some of the more fiscal related questions that you might have, specifically targeted to the these new transitioning schools. And we also have a weekly newsletter that will list all the key grants and project analysts that lead the grants in our grants management system. Those are actually, those key grant folks will be, they're associated to your contacts, your grant contacts in Epicenter. So if you haven't already had a chance to do that, I'm not sure where you are as far as Epicenter training for like fiscal and programmatic requirements, as well as other SBCSA requirements. When you do develop those contact lists, make sure that your grant folks, the appropriate grant folks, are tagged, and they will be on that weekly newsletter that we have that lists key fiscal and grant related updates. Again, our grants unit is more than willing to answer any questions that you may have in order to support this to have a successful SBP development and application season. Thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and hand off the baton back to Brittany so we can move on to the next slide, so you can see how to enter the applicable budget amounts and other tabs of this SPP process. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Christina. I saw in the chat someone asked about the presentation. You should see links to the presentation guidance and SPP timeline in the chat. School leaders were also emailed that information. Okay, so now let's move into the stakeholders tab. This tab keeps your planning process organized. Please record your team members' roles and meeting logs to ensure accountability and transparency. Your committee must include at least one person from each of the following groups: principal, other school administrator, teacher, paraprofessional, parent, student, if your school is a middle or high school, tribes or tribal orgs, if present in your community, specialized instructional support personnel if appropriate. Please note that if your school does not employ certain personnel, such as paraprofessionals, or your school only has one administrator, you may omit these staff members. Your plan will be rejected if your committee does not include at least a principal, teacher, and a parent. If your school is a middle school or high school, your plan will be rejected if it does not include a student. Again, you will also add your meeting logs to the stakeholders tab. Your school team should have had meetings to discuss data during your needs assessment and the development of your plan. You may also use the meeting log section to add any other community outreach events hosted by your school. If your plan does not include at least one meeting that occurred with your team for plan development, your plan will be rejected. To change your team name in the app, you're going to click the three-dot menu or ellipsis to the right to name it School Improvement Team or any other name that you feel is appropriate to your team. To enter your team and meeting logs into the app, click the plus symbol next to the meeting logs and members to complete the required fields. For the location of the meeting, you can enter the description of the meeting. For example, you may wish to enter school improvement meeting, data meeting, Title I meeting, etc. Select the date and time. Press the check mark button on the right. A button to upload your sign-in sheet and notes should appear. At this time, you don't need to add any sign-in sheets, files, or notes, but you may do so if you'd like. You should retain this information for your records. You will be able to add this information later. Please remember that it is only required that you enter your SPP related meetings. However, you can add other school events as you like. Okay, we're moving into the Community Outreach Activities tab. This is a new tab added by NDE. To enter your community outreach activities into the app, click the Community Outreach Activities tab from the side menu. For each entry in this tab, add the activity, date, and lessons learned, then click Save. Again, all of these steps are in the guidance, so don't feel like you need to write down each step by step because it is in the guidance for you. So now let's dive into the Needs Assessment tab. Use the Needs Assessment tab to document a thorough analysis of your school's performance. Focus on the areas of inquiry to identify strengths and challenges, and develop a concise problem statement with a root cause analysis. The areas of inquiry are student success, adult learning, connectedness, and stakeholder engagement. For student success, you will need to analyze academic performance, attendance, and graduation rates. Schools must include a SPED goal and related areas of strength, weakness, problem statement, and root cause in the student success area. For adult learning culture, you'll need to assess professional development opportunities and teacher effectiveness. For connectedness, you'll need to evaluate the school climate, safety, and student relationships. For stakeholder engagement, you will review your parent and community involvement efforts. You will also include the priority problem statement in the needs assessment tab. For your problem statement, clearly articulate the key challenge identified. For your critical root cause, you'll need to identify underlying factors contributing to the problem. Be sure to align with areas of inquiry. Link the root causes to the relevant area, for example, student success. Under the Need Assessment tab, click Summary to enter successes, strengths, and challenges for each inquiry area. Click Set Date to enter a date of when the needs assessment was conducted. The needs assessment is conducted during the grant application process, so you may wish to enter an appropriate date such as February 15th of the grant application season. Please be sure to type your response for each section of the inquiry area. And now let's move into the Data Documentation tab. The Data Documentation tab is where you compile evidence supporting your needs assessment. Ensure data is labeled and annotated to provide clear context for reviewers. Upload and organize relevant data sources, such as your academic assessments like MAP, SBAC, attendance and discipline records, surveys from students, staff, and parents, and please annotate updated data for clarity and context. To complete the data documentation portion of your needs assessment, click Needs Assessment in the side menu, click Data Documentation, check off any boxes on this page that represent data that you reviewed during your needs assessment. You may select multiple selections with a variety of data types. It is recommended that you enter the link to your NSPF report in the accountability data section. Be sure to press the Save button to save any changes in each box that you update. If you do not complete the data documentation page, your plan will be rejected. Okay, next is the Guidance for Completion tab. This tab serves as your roadmap. Use the resources provided by NDE to ensure your plan aligns with the state expectations and leverages evidence-based practices. Okay, we're moving on to the Goals tab. The Goals tab is central to your SPP. Align goals with areas of inquiry. Ensure goals address identified needs. Okay, let's look at an example of a goal to determine if it follows the SMARTY framework. Okay, so here's an example. Increase student proficiency in math by 20% from 41.2% to 61.2% as measured by SBAC Spring 2025. So is it specific? Yes. Is it measurable? Yes. Achievable? Yes. Relevant? Yes. Time-bound? Yes. Inclusive? No. It does not address disparities. Equitable? No, it lacks the targeted support. So here's a revised goal that aligns with the SMARTY framework. Increase student proficiency in math by 20% from 41.2% to 61.2% as measured by SBAC Spring 2025 with a 10% reduction in achievement gaps for English learners and students with disabilities. This revision makes the goal more inclusive and equitable by identifying specific student groups that need additional support. And the SMARTY framework is a requirement of NDE. Your plan must include at least 4 school goals, 2 student success goals, 1 for general school student groups. And the second one is for SPED students. I am going to pause and call on Sarah Jorgensen from our SPED team to go over the SPED goal.
Thanks, Brittany. Good morning, everyone. A little introduction of myself, Sarah Jorgensen. I am an education program professional on our school support team. I'm one of Brittany's colleagues. Primary responsibility is IDEA or special education. That does include 504 students and also GATE students. Beyond that, I also am currently a liaison with the Office of Teaching and Learning at NDE and also the Read by Grade 3 team at NDE. With that said, a little context here with our 2 student success goals. Previously, you may not have included a SPP goal specifically dedicated to students with disabilities. However, the SPCSA has determined a need to have our charter schools include a specific SPP goal related to students with disabilities receiving special education services. And in addition to everything that Brittany has presented regarding the components of a SMARTY goal, the needs assessment, budget alignment, another item that we are requesting schools to include related to a special education goal is alignment with the state performance plan and the annual performance rating indicators. You can see that there's a link here in our slide, and I'll also include it in our chat as well. However, you need to align that goal to one of these indicators. We are rated annually on our performance by our SEA, the NDE, and we also want to make sure that our schools are working towards our ratings. And so it's really important to consider with those indicators, there are 18 of them. Not all 18 of those indicators are applicable and align with potential special education SPP goals. So I provided some guidance here on the indicators that are probably your best options to consider. And I have indicated that numbers 1, 2, and 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 13 and 14 are the most appropriate APR indicators that schools should be considering. Schools should not use SPP APR indicators 15, 16, 17, and 18. Those are very specific to either LEA or SEA related responsibilities and targets. But please know that myself and my other colleague, Jackie Working, who also is dedicated to special education services and programming, are available to assist you with any questions that you have regarding special education and SPP. And then beyond that, just in general, any questions that you may have for special education, GATE, 504, etc. I will drop both of our emails into the chat, and please reach out. We love schools that are proactive. So forward thinking and problem solving, we would love to be your thought partners and support. Brittany, I'll return it back to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. You'll also need one adult learning culture goal and one connectedness goal. Your plan must include at least one annual performance objective or APO and one improvement strategy for each goal. So here is just a format of what that will look like. You will need one APO, one improvement strategy for your general school student success goal. You'll also need one APO and one improvement strategy for your student success goal, specifically dedicated to special education. You'll need one APO and one improvement strategy for your adult learning culture goal, one APO and one improvement strategy for your connectedness goal. To add improvement strategies, click the new improvement strategy to state your improvement strategy. Remember, your strategy must be evidence-based and associated with an evidence-based intervention or EBI level. Plans that do not include a citation with the improvement strategy will be rejected. Please review the guidance, and I've included the link here. You can go back into the presentation and access that link to review the EBI levels and citations. Choose strategies with robust evidence to increase the likelihood of success. Higher tier strategies are ideal, but tier 4 options can work if they are well rationalized and monitored. Okay, so to add goals, you're going to click this the plus sign, and you'll add your APOs and improvement strategies there as well. In the box labeled evaluation data sources, enter the formative measures that you will use to evaluate your goal throughout the school year. Formative measures are used to measure your progress toward your goal throughout the year. For your special education goal, your evaluation data sources box should also include the state APR indicator that is relevant to the goal. If you do not align your IEP support to the APR indicators, your plan will be rejected. Please feel free to contact the SPCSA SPED team for more support in developing your SPED goals. Sarah Jorgensen added her information in the chat along with Jackie from our SPED team. Please feel free to reach out to them anytime if you need any support with your SPED goals. Okay, we're moving on to the status checks and end of year reflection tab. Use this tab to monitor progress throughout the year. Reflect on what has worked and what needs refinement as you move toward achieving your goals. Use the Needs Assessment tab to document a thorough analysis of your school's performance. Focus on the areas of inquiry to identify strengths and challenges and develop a concise problem statement with a root cause analysis. Clear action steps, roles, and evidence levels are essential for effective implementation. Make sure the plan includes support for specific student groups and aligns with ESSA requirements. Break down improvement strategies into actionable steps. Assign responsibilities, identify student groups targeted by each strategy. Specify the evidence level of that strategy. So for the ESSA Title I tab, this is completed for or completed by Title I schools. Document how Title I funds are utilized and personnel supported by these resources. For Title I schools, click the school-wide and targeted assistance Title I elements tab and type your response for each section. Also click the Title I personnel tab and type your response for each section. Okay, moving on to the Plan Checklist tab. Use the checklist to verify that all required elements of your SPP are in place. Accurate and thorough planning leads to improved student outcomes. Click the Plan Checklist tab to complete the required fields. And once you have completed your plan, be sure to return to the home page to press the Submit button so your plan may be reviewed and approved by SPCSA staff. The SPCSA and NDE cannot provide feedback on the plan until it is submitted. Click the Home tab to access your Submit button. Once you click the Home tab, you'll see the Submit button, and please click that when you're done. You'll need to review notes from reviewers regarding the status of your SPP. Address required revisions within 48 hours of status update by the SPCSA staff. Grant applications will not be reviewed until your school's SPP is reviewed. Therefore, delays in SPP revision will lead to delays in grant approvals. This tab provides feedback from reviewers. Use these notes to refine your plan and ensure it meets all requirements. Okay, so now let's look at the SPP timeline. The 24-25 status check, this part of it doesn't apply to you guys because you won't be coming on with us until 2025-26 for that school year. So I will send you guys an updated timeline with that removed. That's one less thing off of your list. We did hold SPP training, which was required, and so congratulations on being here. On February 3rd, 2025, you will have access to your 25-26 SPP and Plan for Learning. Currently, if you've got into your Plan for Learning, if you've had time to get in there, you'll see that you only have read view. However, on February 3rd, you will have full access to edit your 2025-26 SPP. Grant applications will be open on February 12th, 2025. During grant applications, schools must submit the SPP for the upcoming year. SPCSA will approve the 25-26 SPPs during grant applications for the following school year. Please complete the 25-26 SPP and Plan for Learning. Also be sure to select the 25-26 school year tab. You'll also need to complete the Epicenter task. On April 11th, 2025, the 2024-25 status check is due. However, CCSD will be monitoring your status check, so that will be removed from the updated SPP timeline. On March 4th, 2025, the 25-26 SPP is due to the SPCSA, submit your 25-26 SPP and plan for learning. You'll need to also post it on your school's website and complete the Epicenter task. Okay. And again, more in-depth instructions will be in the 25-26 SPP guidance, which again was sent out in the SPCSA's weekly newsletter. It was also posted in the chat and sent to school leaders. It is also available in the SPCSA's SPP repository on Canvas. Thank you all for your participation. And at this time, I'll take any questions. You can also email me your questions at brettanyweinhold@spcsa.nv.gov.
Brittany, Derek is saying that his login doesn't work. And I'm assuming that's for Plan for Learning.
Yeah.
Unless that, okay, thank you. So Brittany, I just wanted to point that out to you. That was in chat.
Thank you so much. Derek, what school are you with?
Odyssey Charter Schools,
Okay. What is your role?
principal, high school.
Okay. I will get that updated. If you can put your email address in the chat, I'll get you.
Brittany, I'll email you.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I got
thank
you. Yeah, I'll email you. And then my middle school principal, she's on as well. Hers doesn't work. I don't think any of ours are working. So that's why I wanted to get in there and let you know.
If you could send me all staff members who you want to have access to editing your SPP,
Oh,
along
okay.
with their email addresses, I will get that updated and I'll email you their login information.
Yeah, and I'll give you our elementary as well. Yeah, and
Perfect.
then applicable people for each school that have access to it, if that's okay.
Perfect. That's great.
Okay.
And anyone on the call, same for you. We only added the school leader that in the email that was given to us. However, if you try to log on to Plan for Learning and you see that you don't have access or your login isn't working, please just email me. And school leaders, if you want to just also go ahead and email me a list of additional folks you'd like to be added on to Plan for Learning, I can add them and get that information back to you today. Great. Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I'm looking forward to working with you all soon. Bye, have a great day.